Man, one
I know it's
player?
kind of hard because they had like a
That's kind of
team
hard because it
failure
felt like it
and
was
then
a
a team
collective
success.
effort. It didn't feel like someone like necessarily stood out dramatically. But I think honestly, I had to give it to Purdy because the highlight play for me of his
Without those
career now
runs.
at this point was one where he's shedding the defensive lineman. It was a guaranteed sack. I'm like, oh, here comes another stall drive. And it's like, no, he sheds it off somehow, scrambles, moves to the left, finds a use check for a beautiful toe touch and catch. And that was like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
that was a really
that
good
play was
really good one.
magical. And it
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
showed like you just really saw him put it on as to why he's not a game manager, which is kind of stupid to say that. It's like game managers don't do that. They don't shed sacks.
Jared Goff is very game manager. Like, I think I associate, and maybe this isn't correct, but I associate game managers with guys who can't move in the pocket. Because I think if you can like scramble and you have like escapability, I feel like that helps you have an
Alex
edge
Smith was a
above.
game manager, and he was able to move some.
Okay, you're right. You're right. Purdy
Um,
takes chances. Sometimes that can get him in trouble.
yeah, he had a lot of some dumb throws. And honestly, at the pick where they said he got tipped, I'm like, yeah, like I guess so. But I'm watching him where he's throwing. He was throwing it to Debo. He was draped with several defenders around him. So I thought the choice to throw it there was also dumb. It probably was going to get picked anyways.
Yeah. I thought Debo did really good too. Like, he didn't make as many plays, but I felt like every play he made was really impactful, and that he like really got yards after the catch. Crucial. Like, I felt like in that first half when it seemed like the entire team sucked, Christian McCaffrey and Debo were like the two players that were having good plays. Even Brandon Ayuk, who I think was so pivotal because like without him in that series where he catches the ball and then scores, that like turns around the game. But in the first half, there was like a throw straight to him that he dropped too. And that was like one of Brock Purdy's only good throws, and he didn't catch it. And I remember being like, Ayuk, this is why you're not a number one receiver. And then he makes me eat my words like a quarter later, but you know.
No, yeah, but I would just have to give it to Purdy, like, because all the several things you saw from his legs and stuff like that, and you mentioned like McCaffrey was solid, but it's like to me, it's like I didn't really feel like his presence was like that great. Like, yeah, he had like a few really nice runs, but that Lions run defense was really stout for the most part. And it was like, and even all the motions they were doing,
they were better than I thought
they were doing. The Lions were like not reacting to it or falling for it. They were really well coached and well prepared for this game. I'll say that for sure.
I felt like in the first half, didn't you feel like not only like on all three levels were the Lions better, but coaching? I felt like they felt more prepared for the game.
Coaching. Ben Johnson was taking Steve Wilkes' lunch money. Like, that was crazy.
Crazy. Now, do you think this is maybe, you know, more of like a Lions discussion, but I'm just interested because I remember like for Nick Sirianni, I was like, why would you keep a guy who he's not responsible for the offense? If Ben Johnson is going to go to Washington, if you're the Lions, would you rather hire Ben Johnson as your coach, or do you keep Dan Campbell at this point?
No, you got to keep Dan Campbell in there. That guy was a culture changer. Like, even though like he's still kind of like more of the CEO type of coach, the rah-rah guy, he built that staff. He created it. And I think it shows that he knows how to build the staff kind of like Kyle Shanahan does. So like, no, you can't. Plus that'd be if you do that, then that as a franchise, that sends a bad message to future candidates after Ben Johnson. If you do fire Campbell for him as head coach, that would be a very bad standard to set up.
So, after like having like life-changing success. Okay, wait, want to go through some of these with me? Someone says Jared Goff was awful in the second half, non-existent.
He was pretty much just
he was fine.
Look, I don't think he's a game manager, especially I never really thought he was even under McVay, but this game was really game manager-esque by him. I know he made a couple of sweet throws, but really it was like, to me, and I wrote it in the game story I said today, is like, look, the Lions' game plan was simple. Montgomery, Gibbs, sprinkle in Jameson Williams.
It was working.
For in runs, and then just find Amon-Ra on third down, because Amon-Ra's 4 of his 5 catches, or no, all 5 of his catches went for first downs. 4 of them were on third down. When you had them on 3rd and 12, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 15, it's like, what the hell is this?
The craziest convert, like, people never make third downs when they're that far away. And
that consistently. And then that 3rd and 12 on Gibbs makes the conversion was pitiful too. So it was just like Wilkes was getting worked. And it's like, what is this guy doing? And then like, even when the players were there, they were missing tackles. So it's like, that's why I tend to not beat down on Wilkes too much, where everyone blames him. It's like, yeah, I blame him for sure, but what about the guys who are actually there in position and don't make the tackle? What about that? Getting beat by defenders in coverage, pass coverage.
So glad, because I think someone wrote into our show on Tuesday and talked about why was Logan Ryan in there over Jair Brown. I'm so glad. Jair Brown made some mistakes, but I felt like with some of those in the second half, some of the run stops, he was the one that was coming in off the edge and tackling sometimes. I felt like he made an impact.
He made a lot of mistakes in coverage too. And I think the opening touchdown to Jameson Williams was
on him.
That angle. I really couldn't see a good replay. And I'm like, I got to watch it again. But my initial thing was like, damn, did he over pursue on that? And as a safety, you can't take bad angles. You just cannot. Yes. You're the last line of defense. And I feel like since he did that, he kind of cost it. But I'd have to really look back to make sure. But my initial reaction was like, did he take a bad angle? Was that his fault? And I thought he was going to get pulled. I thought he was going to get pulled for Logan Ryan.
Did you see? Did you see if any injury updates to either Christian McCaffrey, but also?
Oh yeah, I was actually watching most of them before I came on. I think Kittle was the last one.
Did they say anything about?
McCaffrey just said oh yeah, I just felt like my shoulder just felt a little weird. It's like I wasn't 1,000% sure if I was going to be perfect to protect the football, so I just came off just give myself a breather. That's pretty much it.
Okay, and then what about Ambry Thomas?
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't really catch
because Logan Ryan that was on a Disney cruise 2 weeks ago was freaking in at cornerback for Ambry Thomas. How are the 49ers always so short at cornerback depth? I feel like this is consistently every year. You're like, why is freaking Josh Norman starting on our team? Why is Logan Ryan, who was on a cruise,
I think what's crazier is
gonna be the starting quarterback in the Super Bowl?
They got him out there and didn't put Isaiah Oliver in the slot. So that tells you how much he is out. Kyle is out on Isaiah Oliver. Out on him.
Did you have any other major takeaways from the game in your article that you were writing?
Just pretty much you can't do this against the Chiefs because I get it. The comeback win. Everyone wants to pound their chest. Who says Kyle and Birdie can't do it? Back-to-back weeks. It's okay, yeah, it's great.
You're like, they did it. They proved it.
Don't put that. Don't do it. I don't give a crap about playing from behind, honestly, because it's look, if you're playing from behind, that means you put yourselves there in the first place or you're getting punched in the mouth. So I think those are always so overrated to me. Game-winning drive, game-winning thing. It's cool to show you have that toughness to do that and to be so mature, be so seasoned, be so ice cold and confident that you can play in those conditions, play in those scenarios. But I think they're kind of overrated to me. I think if you get in that situation, there's no way in hell you're coming back against the Chiefs, against Mahomes. It's just not going to happen. I mean, look, honestly, the Chiefs were dogs. I knew the Chiefs were going to win today. I picked them. Hell, I bet against them. I bet on them too. I got back to betting on it because to me, it's always when I see the Chiefs, you're going to get value on them. Wait, I get value on Mahomes and Andy Reid and Chiefs. Here you go. That's easy. That was my logic too in the Super Bowl last year against the Eagles. It's the Eagles aren't going to win. It's going to be them. And even this game, like I said, initial thoughts, prediction, and the weeks will play out for me to really think it. But initial right now is yeah, I think the Chiefs are probably going to win because back-to-back weeks now. Last week you asked, what's your confidence level in the Niners? I was like, shoot, well, I went from 100% to 80% they're going to win. What do you think my confidence level is at now that you're facing the Chiefs? I mean, the Lions. Well, it already was a toss-up if they're going to face the Ravens and the Chiefs when I thought they were, immaculate a few weeks ago. Now it's shoot, now I'm 30 to 40% range.
Yeah, you were I was nervous when they were dominating.
I never was.
Now they're struggling. Yeah.
No, I always thought they were cut head and shoulders above. Even after the loss to the Ravens, I was hey, that's probably the only team that can compete with them. But I think if they see them again, they'll do better. And I'm more confident in them. But now you got the Chiefs who are surging right now. And again, what's there about momentum?
I want to ask because maybe this is wrong because I agree with you. Never bet against Patrick Mahomes, but just on because Patrick Mahomes just has juju to him, but just on a talent level, because the freaking Chiefs are supposed to be bad this year. This is their down year. I thought that it would be do you think that the 49ers have a better chance at beating the Chiefs than they would the Ravens? Because I feel the Ravens are built to stop this offense. Remember, I think it's Kyle Van Noy. Was some guy on the I could have that wrong. But some guy on the Ravens like came out after the Ravens game and was like, we gave everyone the blueprint to beat the 49ers. And it's like, well, no one can follow that blueprint because they don't have your personnel. So I do kind of feel like the Chiefs might be better fit to go against, but who knows? Because their defense is good, and Patrick Mahomes is friggin' Patrick Mahomes. And Travis Kelce, who's kind of looks slower and older all year, had a fantastic game. So,
yeah, honestly, I still think it's a tough matchup regardless, especially because the way they're clicking now the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And look, the Chiefs defense may not get like as touted and don't have the accolades of certain players like the Ravens do, but that's still a damn good. This has been their best defense under Mahomes ever, and Spagnuolo just knows
They're
how to.
Almost like a defensive team right now.
They basically are, where they got Mahomes making enough plays, they got receivers making enough play. A lot of the no-name receivers. I say no-name receivers. I know Rashee Rice is coming into his own, but like ultimately, like look no one on the receiving core is that threatening, and I'm pretty sure. I like the way the 49ers can defend Kelce. I think they'll be able to defend him well. They don't have Tyreek Hill this time. I tweeted out like after I said quick Super Bowl preview, comparing from Super Bowl 54 4 years ago. Chiefs have a stronger defense but a weaker offense. Niners have a weaker defense but a better offense, largely because they have Purdy and McCaffrey. Right? To me, I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. And as much as Purdy looked great in that second half, he was pretty mediocre in the first half. I don't want to say mediocre because, like, to me, when I take my takeaway from that first half isn't like, well, what they weren't there because he played bad. Like, he wasn't playing great. But I don't want to say he played like that bad, but he wasn't playing great. And if you play like that
at his best,
and if you only play like that for a half, right, like the second half, then that's not going to be enough, I think, because the Chiefs defense is good enough. And then again, you're going to have Mahomes and Reed who are going to have plenty of time to scheme against this Niners defense. And I think they're going to find ways to put up points. Because if Ben Johnson and the Lions were able to do that, then what are you going to do with the mastermind of Andy Reid and a dramatically better quarterback than Mahomes? Because again, today, Jared Goff wasn't good. He really was the game manager in this game. It wasn't Purdy.
Yeah.
He was just there. It was just like, and when he didn't
have
Ryan
Clark freaking on Twitter being like, "Oh, Purdy made plays." I'm like, choose a side, dude. What the hell?
Well, no. Okay, that mentality's bad. Like, honestly, you're right. That mentality's bad, but given the way how he really like was on his chesty about Purdy, that's why it kind of looks dumb. But no, this whole choose the side thing is like, no, dude, we need. I
agree. You should be able to alter your opinion.
As more information comes, like you change. Like, what do you mean? Like in your lifetime, like when you're wrong, you're gonna continue to be stubborn. Like, no, like no. It's clear now he never was a game manager. But anyways, the point is, if you have this performance against the Chiefs, I don't think they're gonna win that game. He's going to really need to be that guy that they saw that was making a case for being an MVP candidate, being an MVP finalist that he is now. So I think that's really going to be the
right. Like if MVP was voted on, like Lamar had a bad game. I felt like. Oh
yeah, he was bad. A lot of that had to do with what the Chiefs had to do though. The Chiefs defense is real. But yeah, after Lamar's performance, I think now I'm ready. He's officially Dak Prescott to me of the AFC. He's the Dak Prescott of the AFC. In the playoffs, he doesn't do jack. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
he can't win.
And everyone was like hyping him, like he's finally like he's they're scoring more than 20, they're getting farther, and then
this finally felt like their year. And then like sure enough, you go against Mahomes and you're home. You should have won that game. You should have won that game.
He had the opportunity to at the end too. He had the opportunity to like you can't throw an interception there. You can't throw an interception there.
I mean, it was just all bad for him. Inexcusable loss for them. Just like if the 49ers, if they had lost this game, it would have been
inexcusable.
Inexcusable. Don't care. Don't want to hear it. Didn't matter. You need to go to Super Bowl.
I was so upset when I thought that they were gonna lose. I was texting my dad like really sad. Like I was like, I don't want football to be over.
It's especially because of last week, right? Because it's like, wow, they literally barely escaped last week. You mean what are the odds they do it back-to-back weeks? And now you're facing a better team? Like, come on, dude. Yeah. I bet if they looked good last week and they looked like this, you probably would have had a little more faith. But because of last week, I mean, that's how I felt. I was like, no way, dude. How many lives do these guys have?
Really quick, bunch of people saying, or someone said probable only minor injuries for the Christian McCaffrey, Ambry Thomas question. Niner fans need to take over Vegas. Jose is on his way. Freaking, there were actually a lot of Lion fans.
Yeah, there was. Hell yeah, right?
I was hearing that they had like the largest presence so far. If we cut down on those mistakes that we had in the first half of the game in the Super Bowl against those Chiefs in 2 weeks, we will have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Those mistakes in the first half of the game in the Super Bowl against those. Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about. I thought he was talking about last time Super Bowl. Okay, the mistake. Well, shoot. The main mistakes, right? Number one is run defense. I wrote about it last week. I said how the 49ers will find themselves in a struggling matchup with the Lions is you don't have your run defense tightened up, and they didn't, and they found themselves literally in a struggle again, which was crazy to me. Like, because again, I thought the Niners were going to win this game, not easily, but kind of easily. Like, I didn't think it was going to be anywhere close to this game. I knew the Lions were going to make it more of a battle, it was going to be entertaining, but I think the Niners would have pulled away or been fine. But no, like that run defense is leaky. It's clearly a schematical issue. Tackling doesn't help either because it isn't going to make your scheme look bad. And I mean, it's just right now, like I think Wilks is going to get worked. I mean,
if they would have lost this game, I don't think he would have came back next year. Is that extreme?
Yeah. And I think maybe if they lose this one too, lose Super Bowl, I don't think he comes back either. It's a rough look. I mean, think about this. You had your two best coordinators, Robert Saleh and DeMeco Ryans, and they both got worked against Mahomes. What do you think he's going to do when you have your weaker? That's what scares me. You have him with 2 weeks to prep.
Yeah.
That's why to me it comes down to, okay, Brock Purdy. Is this guy going to be money? You need him to be money. He needs to be money. He needs to have a
no pressure and don't overthink it. But like you're gonna create a legacy right now if you win. Like this earlier, like your second year ever winning a Super Bowl. No pressure, kid. Hopefully he doesn't listen to the noise because going in that Ravens game he did. Oh, I was going to say, going into the halftime, one of the announcers said that the Lions had three rushers that had more average running yards than Christian McCaffrey did at the time. So, yeah, they definitely were running all the fuck over the 49ers. Not stopping it at all. They were like all averaging 10 yards per carry. It was crazy.
Yeah. And the stats actually show that freaking regular season wise, the Niners are one of the best run defense yardage wise, but it's like this is where
the last couple of games hasn't it been bad?
But so even going back to the Cardinals game, they've shown to be leaky. Where it's the fact that the situations when they let the run defense starts to be very questionable. In certain situations, like that 3rd down and 12 today, that was like, look, they didn't even have to rush for over 100 yards in the first half. If they let like several of those go, like they did today, it was like, come on, man. Like that's where he really gets like very, very weak. Like it's almost like Mike McGlinchey. Like, look, Mike McGlinchey wasn't the reason why he was so bad is because he's letting up he's getting beat on critical passing downs. It's not that he's getting beat constantly because he wasn't. It's the fact he always was getting
the most
beat on
important times. Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? So the Niners defense, I feel like through the regular season was like, look, they're not letting up consistent runners throughout the game, but it's in certain situations where they're letting them up. So, and this one, it was just, okay, it was clear. It was clear from the get that they were getting steamrolled, everything. You're facing a much better running offense, much better running backs, and they know how, and they have multiple of them. So I kind of was like, I expected that to go how, I think I kind of was expecting the way that game to play out that way with the running defense, but not in that dramatic standpoint. I didn't think it was going to take them until the second half to figure it out. But I guess we should
figure it out. The 49ers, I thought that even though it was like good against good, I thought the 49ers would have been better at running the ball than they were in the first half.
Yeah, a little bit. They really were getting stonewalled. It was crazy to me, like how badly they were getting stonewalled with that. But
what do you think, like defensively, was their adjustment? Because I understand the offense kind of started clicking, but defensively they also did better. And I kind of like when going into the half, I was like, I don't know what to say to do better because like your players aren't making plays. And I feel like I don't know how to flip that switch. And then all of a sudden they started doing good. And it didn't seem like they made a schematic adjustment. It just felt like Chase Young is actually running to the ball. Nick Bosa is getting to the quarterback, like out of nowhere.
It definitely felt like better effort, better execution. I think maybe they brought more. I think I did notice they played more man coverage, and that brings more.
Yeah.
And I think they crowded the box more too, a little more
pressure.
At least I would imagine, because that's what you probably would do on man coverage. But yeah, I did notice that. And I did notice Charvarius Ward was shadowing Amon-Ra St. Brown, which I don't know why the hell they weren't doing that in the first place. I'm surprised we didn't see Ambry Thomas get targeted enough, but everything was pretty much zone. But I did notice, like, at least for a couple drives, like there's more.
They also didn't go over. When the announcers announced like Logan Ryan in for Ambry Thomas at cornerback, I was like, I assumed that the very first play would be targeting him, and they didn't. It was weird.
Yeah, so that's why I think it was. That's why
I'm not going to complain, but
that's how I know that game, that, or at least rubber stamps why Jared Goff had a game manager game. Because if he noticed Embry was out there, or if he noticed Logan Ryan just came in, he's going like, okay, I'm